The last time an Owl was drafted to the NFL was 4 years ago. On Monday, 12 players showed up to the annual Temple Pro Day in hopes of changing this recent trend.
I'm Jake Gabel, live from the studio set. With the Temple basketball season over for the men and women, that opens back up the transfer portal. Later in the show, I'll dive into some Owls who are already looking to spread their wings elsewhere. OwlSports Update is live and it starts right now.
Hello all and welcome to this edition of OwlSports Update. I'm Meg Doyle and he's Michael Mirville.
Basketball season has come to an end for the Owls, but the portal is always open. We will also shift our focus to some spring football. Let's get on to the latest in the Owls gridiron. Spring ball is well underway, and the Owls practice every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday until their final spring practice on April 11th. The spring season ends 2 days later, and at 2 p.m. the Owls will play in the annual Cherry and Wright Spring Showcase at Egbert Olson. This will all be in preparation for the Owls season opener at Oklahoma on Saturday, August 31st.
While dozens of Owls are trying to prove themselves to head coach Stan Drayton over the next few weeks, there are other former Owls who are doing the same for NFL coaches. Temple hosted Pro Day on Monday, giving 12 graduating Owls the opportunity to prove they belong at the highest level.
It's been 4 years since a Temple Owl has been drafted in the NFL. But 12 familiar faces are trying to end that streak. On Monday, these top former Owls showcased their talents in front of more than 20 NFL coaches at Temple's annual Pro Day. The day consisted of the 40-yard dash, 3-cone drill, 20-yard shuttle, and broad jump. For one Owl, NFL eyes have been on him since his performance at the NFL Combine last month.
It's something that Temple hasn't had in a long time, and I'm blessed to uphold the university like that.
McGee recorded a 4.55-second 40-yard dash at the Combine, and now he has a busy few weeks to come with visits to at least 4 other NFL sites.
Eagles came to me and linebacker coach came to me and said, could you do position work? And I decided to do position work. Just showed them that I let it compete.
Throughout these athletes' time at Temple's football program, they credit their determination and resilience to that Temple tough mentality as they move on to this next chapter of their lives.
That's Temple tough, and just fall back on your train and don't lose sight of what you got going on and the goal you got set for yourself.
We preach, win the day. That's one thing Coach Drayton emphasized a lot, just winning the day.
The NFL Draft starts on Thursday, April 27th, where many of Temple's best hope to hear their name called.
Sean Bradley was the last Owl to be drafted in the NFL in 2020 as a 6th-round pick. Jordan McGee has been leaning on him for advice as he gets closer to draft day.
Now back to the current crop of players at 12th and Diamond. Temple has a hole at quarterback now that E.J. Warner is down in Texas. Right now, there are 5 players vying for the starting job. Spring ball practice is a chance for these athletes to prove themselves. Head coach Stan Drayton says that the push for that starter has been positive.
Quarterbacks on Saturday, and then what have you seen so far from that group?
Well, I think they were very, very competitive. There was times where, they made plays with their arms, made plays with their feet. Obviously, we weren't live on the quarterback on Saturday, but there were some really good signs of our quarterbacks being able to extend plays with their feet and be able to make plays down the field with their feet. And really good competition day in and day out at that position. They're very, very intentional. I think the fact that our quarterbacks are dual threats can help keep that run game fresh. So all those combinations with our receivers doing a great job blocking down the field, all that stuff happening is going to put those running backs in a much better position to have success. So all those things are happening.
Thanks to graduation and the portal, Drayton has only one single-digit player returning this fall season. This spring, we are seeing so many roster changes for the Owls. With veteran players leaving and new faces stepping onto the field, one familiar face remains a single-digit number on his jersey. Wide receiver Ian Stewart has been in and out of the lineup due to injuries the past 2 seasons. But this spring, he's focused on making an impact with the number 1 on his jersey.
Spring football is underway, and in Stan Drayton's 3rd season, one goal is to find leadership. The Owls return just one single-digit player. These numbers are given to the team's top players and top leaders. As they continue to prepare for the new season, they're continuing to mature and develop under the leadership of Stewart, who is helping a new group of guys understand what it means to be Temple tough.
Being someone, like you said, who is in a leadership position, making sure that I am who I'm supposed to be every day and I could put my head down and work and hopefully try to get other people to follow.
The single-digit tradition has been at Temple since 2009, with the numbers being awarded to the toughest players on the field. Stewart was selected for his dedication to the game and perseverance following his season-ending injury in the 2022 season.
No added pressure. I was elected a single digit because of who I was, and I'm not going to change for nothing just because I'm the only one left.
The spring football season is a huge time of growth and maturity for the team as a whole. With the August training camp right around the corner, Coach Drayton is looking for his remaining 8 single-digit players for the season.
And the one thing I could notice about this team compared to last year is we're very much more mature. Brought in a lot of new guys, and the maturity of this team compared to what it was last year is night and day. And I'm just so excited to get going with deeper in the spring.
As the team continues to prepare for the new season, they are also working to mature and develop under the leadership of Stewart, who is helping this new group of guys understand what it means to be Temple tough.
Thank you, Julia. This will be Stewart's 3rd season at Temple after transferring from Michigan State back in 2021. It is now time for our first break of the day.
Coming up later in the show, we have a special guest coming on to talk women's tennis for Meg and Mike's Open Mic. But we'll be recapping the lacrosse team's conference win against ECU this past Saturday. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to OwlSports Update. After winning their first conference game against Vanderbilt 2 weeks ago, women's lacrosse played its second conference game against the East Carolina Pirates on Saturday. 8 Owls scored in the effort, including 3 goals from both Belle Mastropietro and Julie Schickling. It was a rainy day in Greenville, North Carolina, as the Owls took on ECU in conference play. Temple is off to a hot start in the first quarter. Here's Mackenzie Roth putting the ball straight in the back of the net to put the Owls up by 2. With the first quarter winding down, the Owls aren't done yet. Maddie Barber and Julie Schickling add goals with under 2 minutes to go. The Owls keep it going in the second quarter, ripping off a 7-0 run before ECU scored. ECU managed to pick up the pace a little bit and sneak a few past goalie Taylor Grolman, but it was not enough. Grolman had her 8th game this season with more saves than goals allowed. Belle Mastropietro and Julie Schickling each netted hat tricks, with Mackenzie Roth tying Temple's career assist record. The Owls take their second conference win, 13-8 over ECU.
Back-to-back wins, and that is the Owls at the top of a crowded conference. The Owls are 7-3 for the season, 2-0 in conference play. Temple and JMU are tied for first, followed by Florida with a 1-0 conference record. But the Gators have won 10 straight. Cincy, Vanderbilt, ECU, and Old Dominion fill up the final 4 spots. The top 4 teams make the playoffs. The Owls will try to continue their conference win streak against Old Dominion University at Howard Field on Saturday at noon. Temple has the best goals against average in the AAC, while Old Dominion is the worst scoring team in the AAC. So it could be a long day for the visitors from Virginia. A win put the Owls in the driver's seat of a postseason berth. Women's track saw mixed results in rainy conditions on Saturday at the Penn Challenge against 10 other teams. Jade Pope won the 400-meter dash in a time of 57.21. In the pole vault, Allie Riches led the Owls at 3.91 meters, placing second in the meet. Nia Brown ran second in the 100-meter hurdles with a time of 15.30. The Owls finished with 4 personal records and 7 top 5 placements.
As track and field moves from indoor to outdoor, there are some challenges that come with it. OwlSports Updates' Vincent Tooley has the inside scoop as these athletes transition from winter to spring.
The calendar still says winter, but the Temple women's track team has already made the move from its indoor winter season to its outdoor spring season, even though temperatures in the Northeast are still in the 30s and 40s.
But that's one of the biggest transitions that we normally face during the course of moving from the indoors to the outdoors. We have the protection from the elements indoors.
I feel like indoor is more so like getting ready or like a preseason, feeling out how the outdoor is going to be, but outside is more competitive.
The shortened outdoor season in the Northeast does make it harder on athletes to peak at the right time, which makes achieving personal records a challenge.
Track is a really big individual sport more so I guess everyone wants to hit good PRs and be consistent throughout the season.
Despite these differences, one thing remains constant: the team's enthusiasm and determination to excel. With each new outdoor season comes the opportunity to better the work they did indoors.
As a team, we're all looking to hit personal bests and also put together some really strong relay performances in the 4x1 and 4x8, and hopefully we can get some good performances for Penn relays and for conference champs as well.
Unfortunately, including the Penn relays, the Owls will be on the road for this entire spring. Temple was supposed to host the Temple Invitational in early April, but the meet was canceled due to the lack of teams competing. From Temple Sports Complex, I'm Vincent Tooley, OwlSports Update.
Track and field will be traveling to Princeton to compete in the Sam Howell Invitational on Saturday. I don't know about you guys, but I can't help but do a little dance every time I hear our jingle. Anyways, you know the drill by now. It's time for Meg and Mike's Open Mic.
Today we are joined by a special guest, Robert Hsu, a Temple news reporter for the women's tennis team. Hey Robert, thank you for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Well, for my first question, when you take a look at this team, you can see their 7-5 record, but you also see something interesting when you take a deeper look. You see that they are undefeated at home with 7 wins, but away from North Broad, they are winless with 5 losses. Do you have any observations covering this team on why this may be?
Yeah, well, they started this season with 2 really hard games against VCU and Princeton on the road. Then they had a couple straight at home, I think 5 straight at home, where they sort of dominated, they showed their talent, and then we're sort of in the middle of the season where, you know, you start to hit that fatigue, you start to hit that doldrums, and it's not like they've had easy games away, so when you break that routine, it's sort of difficult to get in that rhythm again and find that winning streak, but the talent is there, and it's just sort of been coincidence to why they haven't really won on the road.
Now, there have been a lot of new faces added to the roster this season. How do you think that team chemistry has been?
I think the team chemistry is very good. Talking to them, you get the sense they're very good people. They care about each other. The coaches have really done a good job at fostering an inclusive environment. And the team made up of mostly internationals is always going to have like a common bonding factor due to the unfamiliarity of just America as a whole. But they're very self-motivated. They're taking a one game at a time approach. When I spoke to assistant coach Frederica Grosang, and they're geared up for the rest of the season.
Well, earlier you talked about how the talent is there. So staying on that point about the roster, who are some standouts on this team that have helped the Owls this season?
Senior Sana Takabe, she's been there forever. She's the team captain. Evie Way is the sister of Jamie Way, who is an incredible Temple alum, former tennis player. Jesse Zhang has an 8-2 record in the last 10 double matches with Evie Wei. Makimo Uchijima is a sophomore, is probably one of the most talented tennis players ever to play at Temple. And her doubles partner is transfer Samantha Naneri. She's from Sanford. She's double partners with Uchijima, and they have been lights out in the doubles category.
Now, the Owls have the AAC Conference Tournament coming up on April 16th. How do you think the team is going to compete against other teams in the conference?
Well, the talent is there for sure. I wouldn't put it past them to make a deep run, but the AAC is a very deep conference. Teams like SMU, teams like Memphis, Charlotte, SMU, all very good teams. And they made it to the semifinals last year with Jamie Wei and Ujima just being the highest ranked doubles team to ever come out of Temple. We'll see if they can repeat that success.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, Robert. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
Well, be sure to come back in 2 weeks for the next edition for Meg and Mike's Open Mic. We are headed into our second break of the day. Coming up, we will talk women's fencing, gymnastics, men's crew, and the latest on new basketball recruits coming to North Broad.
And later in the show, we'll get an inside look at Temple Athletics' first NIL event for student athletes to educate them on their social media presence. We'll be back in just 90 seconds.
The women's fencing team competed in the NCAA championships in Columbus, Ohio, earlier this week. The team sent 2 representatives, freshman Lauren Johnson and junior Ava Novosecha. Both Owls finished 15th overall. Johnson, who's a Saberlist, had 11 wins in 23 overall bouts and scored 86 touches. For Novosecha, this was her 3rd straight appearance in the NCAA championships. The Foilers had 11 wins in 23 bouts and finished with 76 touches scored. Temple finishes with the season with an overall record of 25-16.
Gymnastics traveled to the Towson Arena in Maryland this past Saturday. The Owls came in 4th place at the EAGL Championships. The team scored 195.600 after having a bye in the first rotation, marking their 3rd highest team score of the season. 8 Owls received all EAGL tournament team selections. Brooke Donabedian has made history for Temple, being the first Temple gymnast to be selected to 3 NCAA regionals. Donabedian will be representing Temple at regionals April 4th through 7th in Gainesville, Florida.
23rd ranked men's crew started its season strong at the Muskingum River, winning all 5 races against Marietta and Mercyhurst. The varsity 8 crew crossed the finish line at 5 minutes 40.1 seconds, winning the Michael Quinn Cup. Following that, the second varsity 8 picked up a victory, finishing the sweep of the Marietta. The varsity floor flew down the Muskingum, scoring a time of 6 minutes and 33.1 seconds. The Owls will be back on the water, traveling to Lake Carnegie against Princeton, Georgetown, and Drexel this Saturday.
Now that basketball season is over for the Owls, a new season begins. It's the season of the transfer portal, which is always active this time of year.
Courts and Sessions' Jake Gabel is live on the studio set to fill us in on who might be leaving North Broad. Hey, Jake.
Thanks, guys. The NCAA tournament has not even finished yet, but the transfer portal waits for no one. Let's start with the men's team. After an almost storybook ending to its season, the Owls' Cinderella run fell short in the AAC tournament championship game. This went from being one of the worst teams Temple has seen in years to a promising up-and-coming program. The only graduating player is their starting center, Sam Hoffman. 3 players have entered the transfer portal already, however. Luckily for Temple, none of them being key contributors to the roster. Redshirt freshman Deuce Roberts only appeared in 6 games, totaling 10 minutes. Redshirt junior Taj Thweet appeared in 11 games, also getting few minutes. 6'11 junior center Emmanuel Akpomo was the biggest loss, pun fully intended. Akpomo played in 24 games, but only averaged 6 minutes a game. However, he was the tallest player on the roster. With Hoffman graduating and Akpomo likely transferring out, you have to expect the men's team to target multiple big men in the transfer portal to bring onto their squad for next season. Now, moving over to the women, they ended the regular season in a three-way tie for the AAC regular season title and lost in the semifinals of the conference tournament to Rice. The women lost 5 graduating seniors, including their second, third, and fourth leading scorers, Aaliyah Nelson, Demi Washington, and Rain Tucker. Now, joining that list is Inez Piper, who announced on her Instagram she will be entering the portal. This came as a bit of a surprise. Piper started in over 70% of games for the Owls. Piper also shared minutes with Tucker, and with her graduating, it seemed like Piper had a stranglehold on that center position. What does this mean for Diane Richardson's squad? Well, they have a lot of holes to fill now. Like the men's team, they will need to find someone to fill in at that center position. Richardson has shown a very strong ability to recruit with both the portal and with incoming freshmen. With the second season under Richardson being much more successful than the first, you have to expect that they're going to undergo another key makeover for their third season under Richardson.
Well, welcome back on the desk, Jake. I'm sure you've missed it.
I've missed it. It's been a long 1 week without being here.
All right, well, one last question for you. Like you mentioned, Inez Piper, she is the only person on the women's team to enter the portal. Who, if anyone else, do you think could be next?
Honestly, I'd be surprised if there would be another one. Inez Piper, that one kind of surprised me as well. This is a team with a lot of graduating seniors and a team that did really successful. There's a lot of opportunity for players to get minutes now that there are roster holes on the roster. So I think, if anything, in the transfer portal, you'll see a lot more people coming to Temple rather than leaving Temple.
Well, thank you for coming on, Jake.
Yeah, thanks, guys, for having me.
It is now time for our final break of the day. When we come back, we'll get an inside look on how Temple athletes learn how to market themselves for NIL deals.
You won't want to miss it. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Gabriel Lennington for OwlSports Update, and guys, last week a dozen athletes came together to learn not just how to become more proficient on social media, but how to expand their name, image, and likeness to a wider audience as content creators.
It's not often Temple gets about a dozen athletes from several different sports in one room at one time. Last week, Temple Athletics held its first NIL event. The goal was to educate them not only on their social media presence, but also a way to use social media to build their brand.
For myself, I just kind of want to grow my following and show what it's like to be a Temple student athlete on the women's rowing team.
Multiple speakers like Micah Featherson talked about interviewing, vlogging, and general content creation. Micah is a Temple student and social media influencer.
But I like helping people, and if I can help people in an area that I feel like I'm doing pretty good in, then I want to.
Athletes engaged in a multitude of activities centered around the presentation topics. This taught the athletes not just the theoretical side of content creation, but they were also able to get hands-on practice.
It kind of helped you get straight into it with them making asking you to make videos right there. That kind of shocked me.
Maybe they'll be able to go out and interview other people on campus now.
The workshop was a success with athletes from the dance, rowing, and football teams all attending, moving towards the first generation of student athletes to make money off being content creators.
It's simple, and it's anyone can do it. It's just taking the first step is the important part, and now it seems like I could easily do it.
Organizers are hoping to take the success of the first event and turn it into an ongoing push to improve student athletes' ability to make money off their name and likeliness.
Thank you, Gabriel. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today.
For our entire crew, I am Michael Mirville. She is Meg Doyle. Thank you for tuning in and have a great weekend.